103,509 cedis has been paid.
The ministry has also received from the Ministry of Finance 100,000, which will cover additional 44 days of the second term. This amount will be disbursed in due course.
She further indicated the ministry will embark on a 30% expansion of the program, which will increase enrollment.
One key challenge is funding. However, the ministry has been working hard through the Ministry of Finance for timely, regular flows of funds. Mr. Speaker, the ministry is collaborating with some private organizations and civil society groups through a public-private partnership to continue to support this program.
Meanwhile, the House continued with debate of the 2018 budget statement presented by the Finance Minister. There was heated arguments between the sides concerning budget allocations for infrastructure.
In 2018 budget, the budget for government machinery has been allocated 1.9 billion. But when it comes to 7 ministries under infrastructure, only 1.8 million. Mr. Speaker, 2017, an amount of 2.6 billion was allocated in 2017 budget for infrastructure ministries. If really you want jobs, you want creation of jobs, and you want your seat to grow, you must increase it. You don't reduce it.
Mr. Speaker, what quickly came to mind was a quotation from Luke 8:9-10. And he said, "To you it has been given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of God. But to the rest," I don't know whether Jesus was referring to my colleagues at the other side. "To the rest it is given in parables, that seeing they may not see, and hearing they may not understand." Unquote. Besides, Mr. Speaker, I've been struggling in this august house to come to terms with the morality of a man who has plunged his neighbor in a pit. And then when this poor victim is trying to come out of the pit, the neighbor is questioning that, why are you coming out of the pit?
If you go to the brand new Terminal 3 project that is going on, which the ministry is talking about today, who actually started it? John Mahama. Mr. Speaker, when you go to Tamale, Kumasi, Wa, all these projects are MDC projects under John Mahama. So exactly what did the Ministry of Aviation do with their money? Zero. Mr. Speaker, the previous MP government, led by former President Kufuor, left the NDC with 1,382 Metro Man passes. Today, if you go to Metro Mass, they can only boast of 536 passes. 250 out of that 500 and something passes are packed and are waiting scraps. Some members from the opposite side are still owing Metro Mass passes. Millions of Ghana cedis. Yes. Passes they hide in during their 2016 campaign. Let's Speaker, we still insist before they should come and challenge whether we should continue the work they started or not. We are asking them to go and settle their bills with Metro Mass. Yeah.
Let's now attention to other stories this evening, as police records indicates one of the 2 suspected armed robbers killed in Asawasi in the Kumasi metropolis 2 weeks ago have been on the police wanted list since June 2016. The Minister of the Interior, in a statement to Parliament, revealed 3 others who were reportedly arrested unlawfully were identified by people to have robbed and raped them during an identification parade.
The minister was in the House to apprise members on how far investigations have gone into the killing of 2 suspected armed robbers and the arrest of 3 others in the Kumasi metropolis on the 7th of this month. According to the minister, the police arrested 3 suspects following weeks of intensified intelligence. The suspects, he said, led the police to retrieve some weapons from their hideout, during which they tried to escape, which led to the shooting of the 2.
Records available to the police indicate that one of the deceased, Lukman Mohammed, aka Alpha, has been on the regional police wanted list since 16 June 2016 for his involvement in a robbery case that occurred at a bakery as Jedi, Kenyasi, where they shot a worker, Albachire 35, in the left arm and took away a pump gun and an amount of 13,500 Ghana cedis.
But the MP for Asawasi, Muntaka Mubarak, did not take kindly to these words.
In the effort to fight armed robbery, the right of individual Ghanaians is something that all of us must adhere to. Mr. Speaker, I will urge the minister to do well to find more information, because the environment where this gentleman, Audu Usman in particular, was arrested, almost every citizen around had to flee because of the way the brutality went on.
The minority leader Haruna Idrisu felt the police must be brought to order in their recent shooting incidents.
You cannot describe 7 pellet bullets as minimum force. You cannot describe killing as minimum force. Not in this country called Ghana again. We should not. We should build a new culture. And that culture must be one which is courageous to say the police, the way you behave is unprofessional.
Mr. Speaker, we have not really defined what action is lawful under the circumstances. People have spoken about minimum force. That is not even the language of the Constitution. The Constitution says lawful, it talks about the use of force to such an extent as is reasonably justifiable in the particular circumstances in order to effect a lawful arrest.
Ministry, through the Water Resource Commission and
Well, stakeholders in education have called for clarity following government's decision to hand over mission schools back to churches. While welcoming government's decision, they contended it should not be politicized.
President Akufo-Addo has promised to hand over mission schools back to the churches. While some persons have fully supported this, others have strongly opposed his decision. But the Christian Council of Ghana says churches are waiting to play a bigger role in their schools. General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong, expressed optimism about the decision. He clarified mission schools as stated by the president were established by faith-based organizations.
Yes, in fact, it's not, when we talk about mission schools, not only Christian missions, we have Muslim mission schools. So there are other religious bodies who are also into education in our country. Now, the call for us to have a bigger a role to play in the management of our school come to us with some kind of encouragement.
Former Greater Accra Regional Manager of Islamic Education Unit and the spokesperson of the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Aremeyao Shaibu, called for clarity on the president's statement.
In my view, there are some ambiguities that were not made clear, and so even in the public mind, we are not sure what exactly it means. Is the government saying, I'm handing over the schools to the missions, so government hands off and have nothing to do with the mission? Is the government saying that we will still want to maintain a certain partnership, so we are going to enhance the control of the schools?
The two are of the view the decision by the president should not be politicized.
I'm still praying and hoping that it will not just be a political talk, and also it should not just be a party in government thing. It must be national. We will want government to create platform for bigger engagement.
We should not discuss this thing as a political party manifesto. Both Muslims and Christians who today are making contribution to education should receive this with a certain kind of mutual or collective agenda.
They also touched on concerns of indoctrination.
If you consider the history of education in this country, it doesn't support the fear and the argument behind indoctrination and exclusivism. Under democracy, if somebody wants to go to court, that's the right thing to do.
We should see it also as an opportunity to promote interfaith dialogue and interfaith understanding. I mean, where we have our children who are growing within an environment of interfaith harmony, interfaith tolerance, because of the educational system which we are producing.
The Dean of the College of Education at the University of Ghana, Professor Jonathan Fletcher, was of the view the decision was to be looked at from the objectives of the President's proposal.
If it is a case where the church are saying, look, we want to help, okay, and we want to make sure that we add that bit of moral uprightness to the education system to make sure that pupils are educated in such a way that they will live, lives that are lives that are worthy of emulating, then I do not see anything wrong with that. Then I think we're looking for extra hands, and of course it makes sense that the missions would want to support if they can have some sort of control over the schools. And of course, I'm assuming that the control is for the better. It's not a control just for the sake of it.
And you're still live here on News 360. You can watch us on 3news.com on Facebook as well as TV3 Ghana. We'll bring you the perspective of the Greater Accra Regional Manager of the Islamic Education Unit on this particular issue of the conversion of schools to mission schools.
Also, we're getting reports that staff of the Ankafor Psychiatric Hospital have given government until tomorrow, November 23, to remove the hospital director, Dr. Eugene Dodoye, from post. The group is accusing the hospital's director of bad behavior towards workers. The accusations, according to the group, ranges from human rights abuses, poor relationship with staff, and using hospital resources for personal gain. Meanwhile, information we're getting available to TV3 indicates management of the hospital is embarking on an emergency mass discharge of patients on admission against the intended sit-down by nurses. Management of the hospital had an emergency meeting on Tuesday, November 21, 2017, where in charges of the various wards were ordered to discharge as many patients to ease the effect of the sit-down strike by the nurses. So that's the situation there at the Ankafor Psychiatric Hospital. They're giving government until tomorrow, November 23, to remove the hospital director, Dr. Eugene Dodoye, from post. They've raised a number of allegations against him, including his style of administration, which they say is oppressive, and he's psychologically traumatizing the staff. Also, they talk about mismanagement and also issues relating to demeaning the staff and making derogatory remarks about staff in the presence of student nurses. And that are some of the issues they're not happy with at the moment. So let's go on the telephone now. And Daniel Danso Sapon is the chairman of the Ankafor Nurses Group. Daniel, good evening to you, Mr. Sapon. Thank you for your time this evening. Now, if you can confirm to us this directive by the management for you to discharge as many patients at the Ankafor Psychiatric Hospital as possible ahead of the strike tomorrow?
Yes, good evening to your listeners also. Okay, yesterday we had a meeting, the in-charges had a meeting with nursing management, and then we discussed that because of our impending strike, we should discharge those patients who have recovered home, so that when, in case the strike happens, it will not have a great impact on the in-charge. So that was what we discussed yesterday.
So these patients that you are discharging, are they okay?
Okay, thank you. In mental health nursing, we have something, before a patient will go home, we have something called mental state examination. So the in-charges were tasked to go and conduct their mental state examination. And those that they think they have recovered should be sent home.
Well, and how many are we looking at?
Okay. As at this evening, we have 170 patients currently at Ankafor. But when we went around, we realized that they have discharged about 10 patients who are still waiting for their release to be sent home.
I see. Now, I'm a bit curious. I mean, if these patients were okay and they were well, why were you keeping them there? Now that you're intending to go on strike, you're releasing them. I mean, if they were fine, why were you still keeping them there? Had they not been this strike, they should have still been there.
That's what is also baffling us, because management is using the excuse that because every year we have a quota that we are supposed to spend. So now that the minister read his budget, they are saying now we should make sure that we live within our budget. And we are saying that then why this time around? Why this time?
But why do you want Dr. Eugene Dodoye out so badly?
Okay, thank you. We want Dr. Eugene Dodoye out of Ankafor Psychiatric Hospital because he has been abusing the staff psychologically and physically. He has also we also talk about the issue of conflict of interest. And then also, he also denied one of our staff his annual leave. And then also, he has also renovated his residence with a tune of over 200,000 Ghana cedis. But when it comes to Ankafor Psychiatric Hospital, all the wards and then all the government and other people's residents have not been renovated. So if we are not, you can use the scarce resource that we are generating to just renovate your residence, then it's not nice. So we call the government to come in, and also we know he's also this thing. We have this company called Smartland Company. They have been supplying electrical gadgets to Ankafor Psychiatric Hospital. But with this company, anytime that they supply electronic gadgets to Ankafor Psychiatric Hospital, they inflate the price and they receive their money within 6 months period. So that's why we are calling for the government to take Mr. Dr. Dodoye out of Ankafor Psychiatric Hospital.
Okay, so there was a fact-finding committee that was established to look into these allegations, right?
Yes, please.
Have they made their findings known?
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Kwesi Osei was able to come to Ankafor with the report, but he told us that because the Minister of Health has not received the report, there is no way he's going to give us the report. But he was pleading that we should accept Dr. Dodoye. But we said no. Okay. You are saying we have issue. Dr. Dodoye did the same thing when he was in Ankafor. He was in Accra Mental. He did the same thing when he was at Pantine. So, and we have been able to accommodate him 5 years at Ankafor. But now that he's a director, he's doing well, so we can't accommodate him again. Okay. And so when and then we also met the Central Regional Minister with Dr. Eugene Dodoye, and Dr. Dodoye admitted that all that we are saying is true, but we should give him the second chance. But we said no, we know Dr. Dodoye. As we speak, one of our staff sent Dr. Dodoye to Labour Commission. And because he sent Dr. Dodoye to the Labour Commission, the staff has been given a release to go and teach at Ankafor Nursing Training College. Okay. Now, because the lady is saying government residents,
right.
Dr. Dodoye has sent the lady to court.
Right. Thank you. So by tomorrow, you expect government's intervention in this matter. But we're grateful for your time this evening. Daniel Danso is the chairman of the Ankafor Nurses Group on this. Welcome back from that break. In the advent of a new leader to steer the affairs of Zimbabwe, the international desk takes a look at the legacy of President Mugabe over his 37-year-long rule.
Former President Mugabe ruled Zimbabwe for 37 years. On November 21, he announced he had resigned after the army and his former political allies moved against him, ending 4 decades of rule by a man who turned from independence hero to archetypal strongman. Mugabe's wife, Grace, has been pointed to as a major cause of what is being described as his downfall. With a rather unpleasant exit, many are of the view the legacy of Robert Mugabe has been destroyed. But what exactly is Robert Mugabe's legacy? Zimbabwe struggled to emerge from deep recession in the decade to 2008. During this period, GDP was slashed by nearly half, and hundreds of thousands of Zimbabweans went abroad in search of better-paying jobs, pushing the country's formal unemployment above 85%. A new financing program was presented to the IMF, and there was expected growth by 5.6% in 2017. On August 26, 2015, Zimbabwe's 92-year-old leader, Robert Mugabe, announced a 10-point plan to revitalize economic growth. Mugabe's supporters say he empowered black Zimbabweans, perhaps his biggest achievement. He and other freedom fighters won independence, mainly on a platform of reclaiming land back from the white minority. The turn of the century unleashed.
All right, so that's Robert Mugabe there. I've been joined in studio by Dr. Nanato Dadze. He's the United Nations Senior Consultant on Political Transitions and the Executive Coordinator of the Center for Democratic Transitions, Ghana. It's good to have you, sir. Good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening.
Fantastic. Now, did you ever envisage a post-Mugabe Zimbabwe?
Well, thank you very much again. Yes, because as an expert in transition, we do know that basically there will be an end one day. You know, so you can't have a situation of any government be in power perpetuity. So there will be an end. But the problem is that most African countries, because of our history, don't have any, lay down rules or regulations, their constitutions and whatnot, pertaining to transition, when the change will come. In fact, we don't have any practice and conventions. Ghana in 2001, that's what we found ourselves. Most African countries ran the same challenge. And in the process, there's been a heavy toll in human life. Remember Rwanda, 800,000 people more died. Kenya, so many people died. In Liberia, 250,000 passed after the substitution. So it's a big challenge when we talk about transition. But we never planned for it.
There are many who say that Mugabe is not just a person, he is a system.
Yes.
And so long as that system remains, the fundamental problems of Zimbabwe will still remain. I've found out your thoughts on this.
Yes, well, let's call him an avatar, as well. I mean, he's the embodiment of everything that is Zimbabwe, But I think that time is run, and the events of the last 8 days, that's from the 15th to yesterday, very clear that the Zimbabweans want a change, and they've gone the full hog, and they've had a change. And I think we should congratulate them.
Is it the change of Mugabe or the change of ZANU-PF? Because there's this argument that ZANU-PF is safely hiding under that safe haven of Mugabe's exit, when the Movement for Democratic Change, Morgan Tsvangirai party, is also pushing for a certain democratic change with the doing away of ZANU-PF and not Mugabe as a person.
Well, it is the challenge of Zimbabwe. I must confess that it's not going to be an easy road for Zimbabwe after the exit of Mr. Mugabe. You will have to deal with the processes, even the ZANU-PF itself will have to deal with issues of healing, its own divisions. What's happened to it. We also have the issue of reconciliation between ZANU-PF and the other opposition political parties. We're going to have
Will there ever
challenges.
be a reconciliation? Because I'm already seeing Morgan Tsvangirai talking about the fact that their peace and security is not guaranteed, even though Mugabe is out.
Yeah, but that's exactly the point I'm making, that the challenges ahead are enormous. You know, some may be legal, constitutional, political, and it will depend. First of all, the first thing we must undertake the first things first. We're talking about stability. There must be stability in the state. That is very necessary. And you can have stability only when you have a peaceful, orderly transfer of power. You understand? Right. Peaceful, orderly transfer of power. Now, the first phase is off. That is, the president is out. Now, once he's out, his cabinet, his ministers, and all that, his government literally goes out. You understand? Right. Even there's an interim. So it will mean that new persons will have to be appointed, you know, as ministers. The new Mnangagwa will arrange his own new government and all that. So that's the challenge.
Are you expecting that he maintains Mugabe's appointees, or he brings in a new set of ministers in the next 48 hours?
Well, we cannot speak for him, but obviously a change is necessary. Some of the ministers have been arrested, others are in hiding, others are out of the country. You understand? So obviously there's an opening out there.
Let's look at the transition.
Yes.
Will that spirit of unity witnessed these few days be sustained through this process, as you see?
Well, once the big problem is out, then the smaller problems will open up, you know. That's why I'm saying the inter-party challenges will come up. The intra-party challenges themselves are also going to open up. But more important, as I said, for now, we should, for the immediate term, we should be thinking about how to stabilize Zimbabwe. How do we get the new ministers appointed? You see, new ministers coming in will entail training programs, capacity building, and all that. You understand?
Right.
We will have to look at even the institutions of state themselves. How strong are they? The courts, the parliament, and all that. They will have to look at all these things. We have to transfer the assets of state. It's been 37 years in power. You understand? Sure. So the assets of states and that of the party and whatnot may be merged. You see, now you have to delineate, you know, what is state assets from what people are using and all that. It's going to be a big assignment. And it's not helped by the fact that they've never had a previous experience in this. And it's for this they may need support from organizations and whatnot. We have, you know, like ours, that is the CDT, which may, assist or to facilitate the smooth transfer of power.
Fantastic, Doc. I'm always grateful to have you, sir. Nana Todaze, former Chief of Staff, United Nations Senior Consultant on Political Transitions. He's Executive Coordinator of Center for Democratic Transitions, Ghana, on what's happening in Zimbabwe. Still have your News 360. Be back with some more news to stay.
You're still watching News 360. Good evening and thanks for staying with us. I am Nanikia Mensah Brampa. The producer price inflation for October this year was 8.2% as against 7.5% in September, representing a 0.7% increase. Acting government statistician Ba Wadie indicated the rise was as a result of increases in petroleum prices in the month of September.
Is a result of increases in the inflation rate for the mining and quarrying subsector and the manufacturing subsector. And this was mainly the result of the following. The producer inflation rate for petroleum subsector increased from 29.7% in September 2017 to 36.8% in October 2017. As a result of increases in petroleum prices in September 2017.
The Producer Price Inflation, or Index, PPI, measures the average change over time in the prices received by domestic producers for the production of their goods and services. The mining and quarrying subsector recorded the highest year-on-year producer price inflation rate of 12.5%. The manufacturing subsector also recorded producer price inflation of 9.1%. The utilities subsector recorded the lowest year-on-year producer inflation rate of 0.5%. Acting government statistician Ba Wadie added the rise in the producer price inflation is also due to drastic reduction in gold prices in 2016.
In October 2016, a year ago, there were decreases in the prices of gold. And as a result, the index level went down. So when we compare the October 2017 index with that of the October 2016 index, the denominator effect was such that it hiked the figure we had for October 2017.
For investors, producer price inflation is an indicator to predict consumer price inflation and extremely useful in analyzing potential sales and earnings. Most increases incurred by producers may be passed on to retailers who in turn transfer to consumers.
Now, in the 2018 budget, government stated the establishment of a national development bank to aid in the accelerated growth of the country. Now, Head of Department of Economics at the University of Ghana, Professor Peter Quartey, suggests the bank should be made to focus on agriculture and manufacturing.
He noted the current system where ADB Bank and National Investment Bank are not giving the real sector the needed finance, hence the need to create a new bank. He said ideally ADB and NIB should be transformed, but it has proven difficult.
We need to create a new development bank that will be very focused. We'll have a special need, we'll have a special focus to ensure that credit goes to agric and manufacturing.
These are the two critical sectors of the economy where the needed jobs for the youth will be created. He was in favor of reforming ADB and NIB, but against the merger of the two banks.
When you merge, sometimes they become bigger and bureaucracy sets in. Already, it's quite difficult for the small businessman to approach some of these banks because of the formal system they operate. So if you merge and make it even bigger, that becomes a challenge. So I believe they should continue what they are doing.
Professor Quartey noted with the market economy, government cannot intervene directly for these banks to lend more to the real sectors of the economy. The best the government can do, according to him, is to appeal to the banks in order to encourage them to go a certain direction. The National Development Bank will ensure there is more finance available to agriculture and manufacturing. The head of Department of Economics at the University of Ghana cautioned the proposed National Development Bank should not be giving a universal banking license.
For me, it will work if and only if this new bank is focused on one or two critical sectors. Mind you, agric is a risky sector, and that is why most of the banks are not willing to lend to this sector. So if you give a universal banking, they will shy away from agric and do business as usual.
Let's look at some business activities now. In McVitie's Biscuits has launched a national consumer promotion to award consumers for the commitment to the brand for 125 years. The promotion seeks to award consumers with cash and airtime.
The McVitie's range of biscuits has had its presence in Ghana for 40 years and had global presence for 125 years. Some of the brand's biscuits in Ghana include digestives, rich tea, hobnobs, and it stands as the world's leading biscuits range. The McVitie's Biscuits range is sold in 80 countries across the globe. Under the promotion, a special pack of McVitie's biscuits will be put onto the market. These packs will be branded with a 125th anniversary logo. Marketing Director of McVitie's West Africa, Toyin Nodi, shared she is looking forward to increased presence in Ghana in the years ahead.
Over the years, we've expanded that portfolio to close to 150 different biscuit products in the portfolio. And there is more coming. I mean, in the next couple of weeks, we are going to be launching 2 new variants into the Ghanaian market before the end of December.
The Buy, Scratch and Win campaign would provide customers who purchase the 125th anniversary branded biscuits with an opportunity to enter the raffle. 5 people are expected to win 2,000 Ghana cedis, while 2 people win 5,000 Ghana cedis, and the ultimate winner would receive 10,000 Ghana cedis. Airtime across all networks would also be awarded to customers throughout the period. The promotion, which has officially commenced, ends on January 8, 2018. 18,008 Ghanaians will be awarded in total.
Through our chain of suppliers, we have about over 200 distributors nationwide. The company that distributes our range also has not less than 200 employees who distribute these brands to the various thousands of retail outlets within Ghana. And we believe this is the right opportunity for us to reward Ghanaians, to thank them for being with us for the last 40 years. So it's a matter of just giving back to the Ghanaian populace for sustaining the business for these last 40 years.
Customers must dial the short code 1393 to join the raffle. The 125th anniversary McVitie's can be found across all provision stores and supermarkets nationwide.
Well, that will do for the business segment tonight. We have sports next. My name is Nanikia Mensah-Brampa. Good evening.
Welcome back to News 360. Entertainment news this evening, we bring you some interesting quotes of Robert Mugabe.
Thank you for the publicity you have given me.
That's what's up. But there are some fake ones out there.
Yes, I've come here to address that.
Okay, let's set the record straight then.
Okay.
Did you say the only warning Africans take serious is low battery?
Yes.
Okay, confirmed. A woman with beauty without brains, it's her V that suffers. Is that your code? Did that come from you?
Yes.
Even if sachet water bursts at circle, it causes flood. Did you say that?
Oh, no.
Did that come from you?
All that is a lie.
Really?
President Mugabe said no.
Okay. Final quote. No matter how men shake their thing after urinating, the last job is always reserved for the boxers. Is that your quote as well?
Yes.
When he knows absolutely nothing about a quote, check out how Mr. Mugabe reacts.
Oh, no.
Well, it's been awesome hanging out with you, Mr. President.
Thank you for paying so much attention to President Mugabe.
On a serious note, when is Mugabe retiring?
I'll still be there until God says come.
Well, when is he resigning? The question has been answered now.
Thank you very much for joining us here on News 360. On behalf of the rest of the team, I hope we left you smiling. My name is Alfred Akansi.
And I'm Natalie Force. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. Next is the final episode of Tashan. Have a wonderful evening.